Recently I went to the UK to try and find out something of the background to some of the trucks that came to New Zealand from England. My first stop was at a town called Leyland, and this statue is in the main street and is a testament to the Leyland vehicle factory that was located here. You can now see where the name and the logo came from. This photo of the Leyland factory was taken around about 1962, and most of the people who lived there worked in the factory, hence all the houses around the place. Inside the factory it's split up into various departments, and this photograph depicts the department making gearboxes and diffs, and there's a couple of guys putting a diff together. However, for this story I'm going to concentrate on the Vista View cab, or the one known as the LAD cab, Leyland, Albion and Dodge. I've just spoken to somebody in the Leyland factory about the Leylands, and when they were building these right up into 1960 and beyond, and this is a Leyland Octopus, by the way, they were just so flat out, they just never had time to think really. And so what happened next is they outsourced the cabs to other people, and this cab actually was built in Coventry, designed by another company. But this particular truck is quite special because it's only done 1,000 miles. That's all that's on the clock. And we'll have a look in the cab in a minute, but it's still got the little plastic over the seats and plastic, like it was brand new. And on the back is an absolutely brand spanking new spare engine for this thing. And the reason why it's only done 1,000 miles is because during the Cuban crisis, the English government got trucks like this and a whole bunch of other makes, Land Rovers and things like that, thinking there's going to be some sort of, sort of extreme outcome from the Cuban crisis. And so they got a lot of these and just stored them. And that's where this one's come from, that government store. It's only done 1,000 miles, and it's just like it was when they drove it in here all that time ago, absolutely in pristine, brand new, off-the-shelf condition. And they were saying that a lot of them rotted out down around here, and so they've actually overcome that with this particular model by having cast steps there. But let's have a look in this cabin and just see what brand new looks like. And you can see the panel on the wall here is just that, and the passenger seat still got its plastic on. And the little panel behind the cab, that too has got the plastic over it like it was the day it turned up. Look at that. Look, it's even got a handle to get in. Now that's a good idea. Somebody's thinking all the time, so you just swinging on that handle. But even then, it was not a hell of a lot of room in here. But isn't she gorgeous? Absolutely off the floor, pristine, 1,000 miles. That's all it's done. You even look at the pedals here, and look at that. No wear anywhere at all. Listen to that. In a minute I'm going to show a film done in 1962 from Leyland that shows a review of a brand new Vista View Leyland Beaver. But first let's have a look at some of the Vista View cab Leylands and Albions that worked here in New Zealand. While you're watching, take a look at some of the other vehicles on the road at the same time, most of which have long gone. And the Leyland I'm driving belongs to Alex McClellan of Balclutha.
In 1964, the number of trucks on New Zealand roads reached 150,000, nearly all of which were British.
This is Graham Poulter, long-distance transport operator, coming to the end of the first half of his run. His destination, a port. His cargo, dried milk powder. Later in the day, he'll spin his wheel back along the same track. A routine job, an ordinary job, but a vital one to this country. An awkward load to remove? Not when you use this method. A yank at that wire and... timber!
And you might remember the old New Zealand express trucks lugging sugar up out of the Chelsea sugar works. But now let's go to England.
For too long, British heavies have had the reputation of being underpowered. Lines of slow-moving vehicles on inadequate roads, causing congestion and costly delays, are all too frequently to be seen. It needed a go-ahead firm like Leyland Motors to break away from this trend. Their latest range of heavy vehicles, including the new Beaver Arctic, is available with the Power Plus 11.1 litre diesel engine, developing no less than 210 brake horsepower. This is the type of truck every driver dreams about. Like its 6- and 8-wheeled stablemates, the Hippo and Octopus, the Beaver has easy access cab, power steering, power clutch and power handbrake, all as standard. The cab is available with steel or plastics panels, identical in finished appearance, but the plastic version weighs less and cannot rust. The low steps and wide doorway give very easy access. There are 2 types of fully adjustable seat, this type having quick-acting controls. The driver has plenty of room, and there are centrally grouped instruments with clear black and white dials. An oil level gauge simplifies level checking. There is no awkward stretching to reach any of the controls in this cab. The switches for the direction indicators, the headlamp dipping, and the horn are all conveniently placed below the steering wheel rim. Engine accessibility is good for a cab-over-engine layout. The engine has hard chrome cylinder liners for long life and a hydraulic fuel pump governor. The engine air intake is on top of the cab, where the air is cleaner and cooler. There's an alternative power unit developing 140 brake horsepower. This gives a reduced performance, but affects a fuel saving of about 25%. The tandem axle semi-trailer has been specially developed by Scammell Lorries Limited to match the Beaver tractive unit. The coupling is a standard SAE 5th wheel type, and the braking system is 2-line air pressure. Lightweight wind-down jockey wheels are used. The uncoupling sequence is quite straightforward and is really a one-man job. Recoupling also is simple. It isn't really necessary to have 2 men to do this, but it does save time if you can. For really busy people, a 2-speed winding gear can be fitted. Contact type, quick-acting couplings are employed on the airlines. The complete outfit weighs 9 1/4 tons empty, so can carry a 14 3/4 ton payload in Britain. Fully laden, the bogie loading is about 11 1/2 tons, so individual wheel loadings are not high. A special type of rubber suspension is fitted, and air springs are optional. The suspension needs no lubrication, and the axles have a special interlinkage to reduce wheel hop. This gives better braking and reduces tyre wear. Being rubber, the suspension is fully progressive, and therefore is a good ride on rough roads. Each of the wheels is carried independently on trailing arms, and the rubber is self-damping. And now let's see what the Beaver will do. Starting is no trouble at all. The gearbox has 6 forward speeds, top gear being an overdrive. Acceleration is effortless, and the power steering certainly cuts out the hard work. A modern vehicle leaving a modern factory. That sums up the Leyland way of life. The Beaver outfit can show a fair turn of speed despite its 24 tons gross weight. Its top speed is over 60 miles per hour. Tight corners hold no worries for the driver of the new Beaver. This is more like driving a private car, in fact. Hardly any effort at all is required on the steering wheel. Even tight turns like this do not fatigue the driver. Now we'll see what the acceleration performance is really like. Starting off in second gear, we reach 20 miles per hour in 12 3/4 seconds, 30 miles per hour in 28.5 seconds, and 40 miles per hour in 51 seconds. Although not a synchromesh gearbox, gear changing is not slow. The real measure of power is direct drive acceleration from 10 miles per hour upwards. From this speed, 20 miles per hour is reached in 16.5 seconds, 30 miles per hour in 36 seconds, and 40 miles per hour in 59 seconds. The engine and transmission are perfectly smooth while doing this test. Power in this ratio means less gear changing on hills and in traffic. Because of all the power under the bonnet, hills like this can be taken in a higher gear than normal vehicles would need. This all makes life less tiring for the driver and more pleasant for following vehicles. A special tank is used to measure fuel consumption. The tank is topped up to a fixed mark. The main fuel tank is isolated by these taps, and all fuel is drawn from the test tank. 4 sets of fuel consumption figures are taken, the first 2 being over a long level stretch of road to give comparative results between using overdrive and not using overdrive. Using overdrive, 10.7 miles per gallon at 28.6 miles per hour average speed is obtained. When treating the vehicle as standard without an overdrive ratio, the fuel consumption drops to 9.4 miles per gallon at the same average speed. Fuel consumption over poor roads is equally impressive. The route chosen for this test includes hills, narrow roads and towns. Not really the sort of route for a big vehicle, but the Beaver takes it all in its stride. And the consumption rate? 9.1 miles per gallon at 25.2 miles per hour average, and without exceeding 33 miles per hour anywhere. "17 miles at continuous full throttle along the Preston motorway do not seem to worry the Beaver. The average speed is 47.8 miles per hour, and the consumption 7.15 miles per gallon. The Beaver is no respecter of persons, and will get round a private car easily on a road like this. Steady as a rock at 60 miles per hour. Powerful brakes are essential, especially on a fast, heavy vehicle. Tests are made by checking the distance it takes to come to rest from 20 and from 30 miles per hour. These distances are measured by firing a chalk pellet onto the road the instant the brake pedal is depressed. From a speed of 30 miles per hour, the Beaver outfit stops in an average distance of 66 3/4 feet. The tachometer shows the maximum deceleration to be 59%. From 20 miles per hour, the brakes are just as good, stopping the vehicle in 29 feet, with the same deceleration. The power handbrake provides a useful emergency brake. The effort required is low, but we still get 15% efficiency. This hill is 3/4 of a mile long with an average gradient of 8.5%. The Beaver outfit makes a good climb and the speed doesn't drop below 10 miles per hour at any time. Second gear is the lowest ratio used, in fact. There is no exhaust smoking, even though it is pulling hard. At the top of the hill, the water temperature is measured to see how much this has risen. The cooling system is sealed to prevent loss of water when the temperature does rise. The air temperature when the climb is made is 71 degrees Fahrenheit, and the water temperature at the start was 158 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature rise is only 17 degrees. The steepest part of this hill is 15.5%. A smooth restart is made in bottom gear from this slope with no clutch slip or bouncing. Fade resistance is vitally important also. And the Beaver is coasted down the hill in neutral at 20 miles per hour, relying on the foot brake to keep the speed down. This is a particularly dangerous test for a vehicle of this weight. Although the brakes must be quite hot by now, a stop at the bottom of the hill shows that the brakes have lost only 5% efficiency. Well, what did it do? Now comes the reckoning. Exceptional fuel economy under all conditions, flashing acceleration, good hill climbing, safe braking with little fade resistance. That's the new Beaver. There's going to be a big demand for this new job from operators and drivers alike. There's no doubt about it. The Beaver will certainly take some beating.
On Saturday, November the 6th, we leave for another Bill Hohepa Old Truck Tour of New Zealand. We leave from Auckland and make our way to Wellington, cross over on the ferry to the South Island and continue down all the way to Richardson's Museum in Invercargill. Then we travel up the coast all the way to Wakefield and on to Rockville. All this and looking at old trucks as we go, as well as seeing a fair bit of New Zealand. We have 12 places available and people will travel by minibus. So if you have an ex-truck driving dad or granddad or somebody you know, maybe this special trucking holiday treat will be just the ticket. Maybe a Father's Day surprise. If you'd like to find out more, just go to my Facebook page, Bill Hohepa's 2021 Old Truck Tour, and all the details are there. Or just email me at billhohepa@extra.co.nz. What I've got here is a copy of Talking Trucks. This is a book I wrote a couple of years ago, and it's the history of New Zealand trucking. And it's all from the programs that I did between 2013 and 2016. I'm going to let this go for $25. So it's a special. Father's Day is coming up. So if you'd like your copy, there's my phone number, 027 277 0717. Just send me a text or email me, billhohepa@extra.co.nz to get your copy. $25 and the history of New Zealand trucks. We're in England and Blighty, and this is where they built all those English trucks that are in New Zealand. And we just happen to be here when there's a commercial run going from London down to Brighton. And there's 200 odd commercials that are all going down there. This old dentist behind us is one of them, but it's just interesting to note here's a real live one. It runs, goes very well, and it's going to do about 100 miles of it, the journey from London to Brighton. But we saw one of these in previous shows down in a shed down in Ashburton, or Timaru, and here's one that's live. It's going to go and do the 100-mile run all the way to Brighton. But as I was saying before in other shows, Dennis is the only manufacturer that actually still builds British trucks, which is amazing. Well done, petrol tank in there. Awesome. Right, what we're going to do now is have a look around, talk to a few people, and join the run that goes all the way to Brighton. And what have we got here coming in? Look at that, a Mickey Mouse Foden. And it's called a Mickey Mouse because if you use your imagination a wee bit, it actually does look like Mickey Mouse. And obviously being a breakdown truck or a carry the parts for a crane, or it's been maybe an Arctic. Oh, look at that. You might remember these. They had these on the Winston run. They had a great big trailer along behind it. They modified it a wee bit so the wheels went back a fraction so they could get more weight of sand on the front axle. But here's one made in Britain. And if we watch this man get out of this thing, and he's a lot smaller than I am, so getting out is no...
Down under.
Yeah, we are, yeah. And there's that little wheel arch.
Wagon's doing better than the driver is. Oh,
How long have you had
bloody
this?
cramp.
Oh no. Did you have a whole life driving these things, did you?
No,
No.
just as well. You had these down under, didn't you?
Yeah, we had plenty of those. They did a lot of big hauling. In fact, the one that stands out is they moved this axle back and had it was an 8-wheeler,
Yeah.
but they modified it a wee
I've
bit.
seen photos of them, yeah.
Yeah. They were called sandliners, but the same Mickey Mouse. They call them Mickey Mouse here.
That's it,
Yeah.
yeah. 21 Mickey Mouse,
What year is it?
63.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But I'm just looking at the door, the size of the door, the size of us big guy Maoris down in, all. But yeah, comfortable to drive, or is it a bit hard on the?
Yeah, it's quite comfortable to drive. I mean, Bowden is all, well, lorry equivalent of a Rolls Royce,
Yeah, right.
And
yeah.
I mean, got things like the Berman recirculating ball steering box, which makes the steering light.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I've got no power steering. Well,
But it's not too bad. I
no,
watched. I think it was an old box Leyland guys hauling on
Oh, you see Matadors are only about 4 turns, lock to lock.
Has this been restored? Or is it?
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Completely apart.
Well, oh, okay, right.
The only job I put out was the painting of the cab.
Oh, okay.
But the only problem with these cabs is because they're fiberglass, but there's timber framework moulded in, and the timber rots out.
Oh, so you got a mission.
So I've had to replace most of the timber in it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I spent over 18 months just on the cab alone.
Good God. Yeah.
It's hammer, chisel, angle grinder, bloody fiberglass dust deafening everywhere.
So you've got an understanding wife, have you?
I don't have that problem.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Fate's decided,
You can spend all your time in the shed.
amongst other things,
Yeah, good on you. Yeah. Well, you've got to be proud of this. It's absolutely stunning.
Oh,
Awesome.
okay.
What was it in its time?
Well, a friend of mine, when it's been running since 2000.
Oh, okay.
And a friend of mine saw it soon, he said credit to me. I said, thank you, George. Problem now is keeping it that way.
Yeah, that's the one. It lives in a shed?
Hmm?
It lives in a shed?
Fortunately, yes.
Oh, that's half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, what was your name?
Richard,
Oh, Richard Nixon. Not related to the Richard Nixon, are you?
I've got the name but not the money.
Fair enough.
Funny enough, I do live at the White House.
Oh, fair. Do you really?
I do really,
Yeah.
And it is white.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, we'll see
It's
you
a
later.
little bit smaller than you might imagine it to be. In fact, considerably smaller. But it's definitely the White House.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see you down in Brighton,
Yeah.
Richard. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. A bus full of people heading to Brighton. And the emergency door at the back. And there's another bus. Look at that one over there. London Transport, got a conductor, got people upstairs. That's just so old. Compared to I suppose this is old too. That's got Leyland written on the front of it. So the old and the new. Look at that. Double-decker buses. You've got to have a look at this Leyland Comet bus. That's different. You have to say it's sort of Art Deco stylish, Maybe they should import it to Napier to take the people around the town. But the old Leyland Combat has certainly pulled its share of logs down in New Zealand, and they even turned them into buses. Isn't that gorgeous? And according to the front of this, it's a Renault. And you look at Renault Enlighten 2013, there's great big enormous wide windscreen trucks everywhere. But I'm sure our Mark will be absolutely delighted to see that Renault is represented here today. Can't tell you what year it is, we're taking a quick peek at it, probably around about 1920, but look at the steering wheel in this thing. Just look at that. And this, and it's all there. It's got a hooter horn. You can see the little squeeze the horn for the hooter. Great. Well, I don't think that steering wheel might be a new one, I think, but the way it's stuck up like that, and you've got to see it looking from the front. There you go. And that sound you can hear in the background is the France heading off.
There's an electron coming, mate.
What? Where?
And there's the driver's station. Unbelievable.
I know, Bill. It's you can't get away from Renaults anywhere in the world. Lovely vehicles.
What year would this be? Give or take, I'd say 1918,
I
20.
think you're right. Yeah, it would be.
About there.
Isn't it a creation and a half, eh?
And there's a Leyland of pretty much the same era.
Goodness sakes.
That looks like the Leyland parked out in front of Leyland. You know, the little
yes,
X series
bus version.
bus version. Yeah, wow. You wouldn't be going on that on a rainy day to work, would you?
No, you need your umbrella.
You would. That's probably why they have umbrellas.
Yeah. Gardner powered Foden coming up.
And we've just looked at the Mickey Mouse Foden, and it's probably its predecessor. Look at that. It's Gardner powered 8-wheeler Foden. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? And of course, folks, you've got to remember this is the place where they built all these things, so it's great to be here and see them all in action. Look at that. You see that same cab shape? That's probably around about a 1950 something, I would say. At the Poms, you can't really compare the Poms to the Americans in terms of design. I think the Poms left it all behind a bit. So a Dennis fire engine, heading back a bit. Surrey Fire Brigade, and the great big huge radiator of the AEC. And you've got to remember AEC, Leyland and Albion all were into bed together a wee bit. That's an old double-decker bus. Look, he's even got the dust coat of the drivers and the hat. Listen to that rumbling away. Would you say that's a good sound?
That is absolute orchestra of sound, I mean.
The orchestra of sound, Mark says. This is stunning.